Welcome to the first episode of my new video series called Dachayam. In these videos I will share tips and tricks of Far Cry Primal. Today I will tell all about bullfight. The hunt for Ull starts by going through the poison tunnel, canyons and rider camp of Udam. After that you are supposed to claim Mom's and Sacha bonfire. That is actually not necessary and you can go straight for Ull. The bonfire is automatically claimed after Ull dies, so if you want to fight for it, do it now. Then you will have to fight through the Udam ice caves until you reach its final chambers, Udam Sanctuary. Here's a somewhat accurate layout of the arena. First we have the entry chamber. There's one Udam standing underneath an icicle when you first enter the place. From there we can continue to the main corridor. There are a few resource packs and weapons on both sides of the corridor. Then we enter the main chamber with Ull. There's more weapons and packs around. There's a platform on the left and another on the right, and also a tunnel under it. And finally we have the secret tunnel, an alternative way between the two chambers. There are some stone pillars and this leads to the right platform of the main chamber. Here and there you'll find dead ends that serve as spawn points for enemies. You should avoid going there because you might end up in serious trouble. There's a total of 7 icicles hanging from the ceiling of the main chamber and 1 in the entry chamber. When the player first reaches the main chamber, Ull is standing under an icicle and he's surrounded by his warriors. He starts giving orders to the warriors, who then go to their positions, and Ull is not yet aware of Takar, so you have time to set up your preferred tactic. The way the fight works is rather simple. You are free to attack Ull at all times, and every now and then a new wave of enemies spawn. But the conditions for enemy waves is complex. I don't know fully how it works, so what I present now is my best theory. It seems that a new wave is triggered every time when none or only one enemy of the previous wave is alive. For example, at the start there are 4 enemies besides Ull. Killing 3 of them will cause a new wave to come, and each wave has 5 or 6 enemies. Additionally, a wave is triggered once when Ull's health drops below 60%. Because of this you will most likely face doubled enemies at some point of the fight. And when Ull's health drops below 18%, waves stop completely. However, this doesn't happen if the very first enemy wave was triggered by Ull's health condition and not by killing off the previous wave. So you may want to kill 3 of the first 4 enemies before damaging Ull too much. You can do that easily by dropping this icicle. Two enemies from the entry chamber respawn every time you kill the previous 2 and leave the main chamber. They don't count for enemy waves and they even keep spawning when other waves stop. And that is approximately how it works. There are some inconsistencies, like sometimes you get 0 waves, but I haven't figured it all out. Ull is very resilient. He also has strong chest armor and won't take any damage from that area, so you must aim for head, legs and arms. Obviously, headshots deal the most damage. He has 3 attacks: throwing a rot bomb from distance, smashing the club to the ground, which also releases rot bombs, and swinging the club. As you can see, he hits very hard, so don't go too close. The attack with 3 rot bombs is very dangerous. If you get hit by the club, you might die to the poison before you can escape and heal. So if Ull gets often close to you may want to use the antidote. You should also know that Ull will cancel this attack immediately if he gets hit. So in worst case, he hits you with this, and then with the swing attack right after. You cannot do a takedown to Ull, and your tamed beasts will go down easily. I would probably not use beast in this fight at all. As all heavy enemies, Ull is surprisingly fast when he starts running. The intended way to fight Ull is to drop icicles on him and then stab him when he's stunned by the icicle. Both the ice and the knife deal about the same amount of damage, but the damage from icicles isn't always consistent. Sometimes they can deal double damage and sometimes less than normally. On normal mode, Ull dies from 4 icicles and 4 stabs, but on survivor mode his health is reduced, and so it only takes 3 icicles and 2 stabs to bring him down. Sometimes the icicle doesn't stun Ull. I'm not exactly sure why that happens. One way to make that happen is to use a fire arrow to drop the ice. He never gets stunned if you do that. To be safe, you should always make sure he is stunned before approaching you. The hitbox for the icicles is bigger than the icicle itself, which makes hitting them easier. Practice the timing for shooting the ice. Stay calm, watch what Ull does, and stay reasonably far back so he doesn't stop right before entering the hit zone. If you have trouble timing the drop, you can use a sting bomb to stop him on the right spot. Just keep in mind that Ull won't stay stunned, and so you cannot stab him afterwards. You can, however, delay dropping the ice until the bees go away, and that allows you to stab him. You can also go hiding. When Ul doesn't find you, he will eventually walk back under one of the icicles, and you can then sneak in and get an easy shot. If you haven't tagged Ul already, you can use a cave lion, so that helps you sneak around when you see where the enemies are. When you are being chased and want to hide, use the secret tunnel to go between entry and the main chamber. And you can also circle back using the main corridor and catch them off guard. One of the strongest hiding places is here, right on the entrance of the sanctuary. You will get a warning for leaving the mission area, but you'll be fine. It's not perfect, so don't let enemies see where you disappear. This icicle in the entry chamber is special. It will kill Ul immediately. You may want to use a sting bomb to make sure that it hits. If you fail, you can always reload last checkpoint. Traps are very effective against Ul. Make sure you have learned the vicious trap skill. You can set up to 8 traps, and you can do that before Ul notices you. You can lead him. As all Udam, Ul is vulnerable to fire. You can use fire bombs, fire arrows. Any high level bow, spear or club is somewhat useful for hurting Ul, but use it to still mainly focus on icicles, traps, fire, in that order. And as said before, on survivor mode he has less health, so these other weapons are also more useful against him. When Ul's health is very low, normal weapons barely seem to do any damage anymore, so use fire or traps to finish him. And let's talk about speedrunning a bit. The fastest way to kill Ul is use a combination of traps and icicles and the stabs. But on Ul and battery category we don't have traps, so we have to use the icicles and stabs. As said before, on normal mode it takes 4 icicles and 4 stabs, and I like to do them in the order as shown here. Sometimes Ulf starts to do some random stuff like not come after you or run to the front direction, and then you just have to improvise. This is the last spot that I use, and if you fail it, there's one on the right side. He has very little health after that, so it might be possible to use like fire or something to kill him without needing to stab afterwards. On any percent we can use traps. The beginning is the same, drop the ice, stab him, then set 2 traps here and make sure they are not too close to him, but also don't go like onto the other side of the icicle, and make sure that he hits both traps before you drop the ice. Then put 2 more traps on this side use a spear to kill this guy so he doesn't step on them, and that's it. On survivor mode, the order of the icicles is more important because Ul's health drops below 60 immediately, so you get 2 waves of enemies and you don't want to get hit by them, especially on permadeath. You can hear the second wave coming right now. And this third spot is very good because it's safe. There are spawn points behind you, but at this point of the fight they will never spawn behind you, and they will all come from the same direction, and you can then escape the tunnel if something goes wrong. For this category, 2 traps is enough, and remember to use vicious traps. Sometimes Ul can set those traps, for example with the rot bomb, so he doesn't get hit by them, and then you just have to go to the third spot, for example, with some traps there, and so on. That's the end of it. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. Nuta wayda, kwati Ullim wanata, sada.